First, to be able to get to the presser bar, we have a bunch of stuff in the way. So first we need to remove our bracket that the handle is attached to. First we'll slip off a little zip tie that holds the wires to the bracket. Next we're going to remove the Phillips head screw from the rear cover that attaches the rear cover to the bracket. Then we have the Phillips head screw in the front that we're going to remove. Then we have the one in the front that we have to remove as well, for a total of 3. Now when we start to remove this, we're going to kind of hold it up so it doesn't just fall down and clunk everywhere. And we'll hold that. We're going to remove the bracket from the handle and gently lay the handle down. And just get rid of that. Now we have our front set plate. First I'm going to remove a spring. Grab onto that and just remove it and put it to the side. Next I'm going to remove my lamp bracket. I have an LED light that's inside this, and we're going to try to get the little screw out. Sometimes it wants to stay in, so if it does, just keep your eye on it in case it falls out later if it doesn't want to come out. And we're just going to lay that up on the top. Next we have 3 screws. We have one at the top, we have one at the bottom, and then we have one that holds the rear cover to the front set plate. And we're going to remove these 3 screws. Now, after removing the 3rd screw here, we have to be very careful with the front set plate. The front set plate does have a bunch of wires attached to it, but we also have 2 micro switches at the top here. There's a little black lever that sticks out, and it reacts against these switches. You have to be very careful of these switches that we do not break them. See our black lever? The black lever has to go on the outside of the switches and not on the inside. So once again, we're going to be very careful, and we're going to lay that on top and just get it out of our way for now. Now we can see inside our presser bar area. Inside our presser bar area, we actually have an upper presser bar and a lower presser bar, 2 separate pieces that lock in together. Here is our rotation block where it actually locks the 2 together. We have a black screw for rotation. Above it we have a 1.5 hex screw, which is our alignment block. Then we have a 2mm screw in our presser bar block and a 2mm screw in our pressure block. All these work together. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the height. So we're going to look at the A foot, and we can see that we have our foot in the middle position here. There is a position all the way down, middle, and all the way up to engage your upper feet. This is the middle position. At this point, we can grab the A foot, and you can see that we have a little bit of play when we move the A foot up and down. This is normal. What we're going to do is we're going to take a 6.6 gauge block, which is our presser bar height block, and we're going to lift up on the A foot and place it underneath. You can see that we've taken away the play. Now to get a better look at it, we're going to scan up here and we're going to take a look at the 2 lower blocks, our little rotation block and our alignment block together, and we can see that they're together now. If you move the block out, you can see the little rotation block comes down. And as we lift up and down, we can see that we have about a 0.3mm gap. Now once again, to get height, we're going to place the gauge underneath and we'll take away that gap. And at this point, we would loosen the 1.5 screw in our alignment block and the 2mm screw in our presser bar block. Once we loosen those 2 screws, we could either move the presser bar up or down to get the correct height. Now once we have our correct height, we would tighten to 1.5, but we need to do pressure. So we have our presser bar block and above it our pressure block. Now you can see we have a gap between the 2 blocks, and there is a flat spot. To get a better view, we can see the flat spot above the presser bar block. Now when adjusting pressure, if you loosen a 2mm from that, it will slam down on top of the presser bar block. What we're we're going to do is we're going to give ourselves a little wedge here with a little flathead, lift it up, and we're going to hoist it up out of the way for now and just lock it out of the way. Now we can see the flat spot above the pressure bar block really well, and we're going to use this flat spot as a gauge for ourselves. We want about 1 millimeter of that flat spot sticking above the pressure bar block. We're then going to loosen the pressure block and bring it down, and we're going to give ourselves a 2 millimeter gap between the pressure bar block and the pressure block, and then lock the pressure block. And you can see we have a nice 2 millimeter gap in between, and we'll have good pressure. Now we need to take a look at alignment. We have our 1.5 alignment block there, and when you loosen that, you can see that you can take the foot and you can swivel a little bit left or right. You're going to line it up with the needle plate hole, and when it's lined up properly, you're going to lock the 1.5 millimeter screw. And you can see we have good alignment now. Next, we're going to look at the little block that's inside there that has the black screw on it. This is our rotation stopper screw, and it stops it from the foot spiraling all the way around. Now this black screw you never want to turn because it is an adjustment screw unless you first go through the front and go to the lock screw. Looking through the front here, underneath our black eccentric pin, which we do for left to right center position, you can see that there's a little tiny Phillips head screw. This is our lock screw, and you have to loosen it very carefully. After loosening that screw very carefully and being very gentle, you can then go to the black rotation stopper screw and either screw it in to take away any kind of excessive rotation play within the foot. And once you have tightened that screw, you can then